So, I think if you're watching this channel and you've got this link, and that's what's led you to here, it's because you're aware that we cover a lot of sword and sorcery stuff here. Mostly, you're probably aware that I'm a Robert E. Howard fan and I'm a bit of a cananophile. That's the word we're going with today. The gist of the matter is, not a lot of the world is built around cananophiles. Last week, though, I had to do something really cool. I ended up in Ottawa for a variety of reasons. And while I was there, I surprised myself with doing two kind of outlandish things. The first one we're not going to talk about too much on this video because it's not really the core content we talk about here. The second one, though, we are. I went to Ottawa Comiccon. So what does a cananophile do at a Comic-Con? Well, I already made a video last year where I showed you guys how really surprised I was when I came out of Fan Expo. Some really cool stuff. What we're going to do this year is just do a trimmed down version of that. I'm just going to walk you guys through high level what I thought of Ottawa Comic-Con. Spoiler, I'll throw it out right now. It was really cool. Then we'll also walk through some of the really cool Conan related things that I made sure I got while I was there. One of these is fairly epic, and I can tell you this much, it's going to deserve some wall space. All right, without any further ado, let's turn the camera around, get down at the desk, let's have a chat. All right, let's get into the bajillion-dollar question. Now, this is the question that most people who are not subscribers of my channel just want to know the answer to so that they can move on and they can do something else with their day. So for those of you who have done that, here's the quick answer. Tennessee Fats, what did you think of Ottawa Comic-Con? It was a lot of fun, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. There's the short answer. Now, longer answer, for those of you who are interested in sticking around for that. Ottawa Comic-Con is very much a mixed bag in what you're going to get while you're there. Now, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to lay this out for people just so that they're aware of what they're going to receive when they walk into this building. And I'll give you my experience. I went on the Saturday, and in a 3-day convention, that being a Friday, Saturday, Sunday convention, Saturday is always the busiest day. So going into this, I knew this was going to be fairly packed. And it didn't disappoint. I arrived an hour after doors opened, and the main parking lot of the Ernst & Young Center, which is very large to begin with, was already full. But everything was very well organized. Staff were there to explain everything, and they were very customer-centric in that they said, no, you just want to pull into that lot over there, which is our overflow parking, and what you'll find is you can park there, and it's a very quick walk back. They were absolutely right. Everything had already been laid out. The lanes that they wanted to create, they had staff there waiting to do so. And if you wanted to take a shuttle bus back and forth between the two, you could do that for free, even though it was only a 5-minute walk. Very well done and very well organized. But what do you get when you go to Ottawa Comic-Con? Really a bit of everything. Now, when you go to an Ottawa Comic-Con, I'll warn you this, and this is the same for when you go to a Fan Expo or even a Microcon, you want to do your research ahead of time and find out what's going to be there. Going into this convention, I was already aware that it was going to be a fairly limited group of comic artists, writers, and creators. It was going to be a very limited group of actual comic sales. The majority of the show is going to be other items, other fandoms that are sharing the same roof. As long as you're aware of that, and you're there to enjoy the overall experience and see things you haven't seen before, ask questions, talk to people about what they're doing, you're going to be okay. I gotta tell you, when you go to these conventions, do not be the guy who's terrified to talk to anybody. Talk to everybody. It is a phenomenal experience to see what people are passionate about and what they're doing when they're cosplaying, when they're out there sharing their love of their hobby, and they're really just showing themselves to all their peers in a safe space. It's a phenomenally cool thing, and you really do get more of a sense of what the community of fandom, let's just call it that, really is. It's really quite cool. If there was any critique I could give on this, really, you might want to change the name of Ottawa Comic-Con to something closer to Ottawa Fan Con or Fan Expo, like the Toronto Con and like the other things that we go to, which have this large mixed bag of goods. And that's not coming from me, that's coming from the feedback I got while I was talking to the comic vendors in this show. Many vendors I've seen in other shows, and when I asked them, I said, hey, what's going on with your booth? Where's your inventory? They're like, well, Tennessee Fats, we shrink it all down when we come to Ottawa because there isn't a lot of receptivity for comics specifically here. This convention is more of other items. And that is fine. If that's what the convention is going to be, that's great. But maybe bring that down. Now, I went in completely aware of what was going to be there. I was happy with what I got because I went really to see 2 artists and maybe poke around for a couple books. So there's your long answer of what I thought of Ottawa Comic-Con. really well done. Really well done. Just you need to be aware of what you're going in for. Now, we got that out of the way. Now, for you Conanophiles, you guys who are subscribers, let's get into the next segment. Let's actually walk through what does a Conanophile do at a convention? What does he walk away with? This is cool. All right. Not going to spoil it. Okay, next segment. All right, let's talk about what I walked away with. This is the part that's going out for you Conanophiles. And this, I had to bring my coffee over because, well, we've been recording it for... You know, the funny part about this is, and this is where I'm going to get into the old man ramble for today. As of the recording of this video, while I'm sitting here recording this right now, my Robert E. Howard Battle Royale number 25 just went live. 25 just went live. Wow, it's like I'm Johnny 5. Johnny 5 is alive. Forget that. That never happened. Okay, forget I just said that. But that video just went live. So what's happening is a lot of comments are popping through on a variety of things around the recording session here. So it's kind of cool, but it's been a fairly hectic morning so far. So let's get into what did I get while I was there. Well, as you guys know, I'm a Conanophile. So what does a Conanophile do when he goes to a fan expo or a comic expo? Well, as I mentioned in the last segment, you take a look at who's going to be there ahead of time and you plan ahead. Now, I brought the Tennessee Fats Traveling Sketchbook with me, and I was very close to pulling the trigger on a particular sketch by a particular artist who was going to be there. But I didn't pull the trigger. And the reason why I didn't pull the trigger is because I bought something fairly major while I was there. And I said, you know what? That's enough for today. But let's talk about the two artists that I did want to meet while I was there. Now, the first one is Geof Isherwood. Now, Geof Isherwood was at the con. I have met Geof a couple times at Toronto Fan Expo now. And it's been very interesting talking to him because he's done work on a lot of titles that I like that are within Conan and without of Conan. He's done some fantastic work on the 1990 Submariner Namor series, as well as the Doctor Strange series that came out around the same point in time. But he's very well known for doing Conan stuff as well. Now, I am sitting center of frame here. Normally what I'll do is a picture in a picture, but I'm not going to do that today. What we're going to do is, as I go through the issues and share with you what I've done, I'm actually going to do a split screen, and we're going to stick them on the side over there. So what's going to happen, or maybe over there, when they go split screen, they're just going to pop up to the side and you can see what books I got. So knowing Geof was going to be there, which was a really cool experience, I brought a bunch of stuff with me. So let's walk through what we did. Now, I've got the books down here. As I'm going through these, I'll explain which ones they are and why I had these signed by Geof while I was there. First one I did was the Conan the Barbarian annual, and this is number 12, I believe. And the reason why I had this one signed is because Geof actually did the cover entirely on this particular book. And this is an older Conan book, which is a cool one. I always enjoy taking the older stuff in because when you're sitting with the artist, like, oh, sometimes it's like, oh, you've been a fan for a while. And it's really neat seeing their reaction. That was a fun one. He did sign that one. It was a cool thing to do. Now, the next series of books that I got Geof to sign was from the King Conan series. Now, for those of you who know, King Conan is my favorite version of Conan. There's younger Barbarian Conan, there's Beast Mode Conan, and then there's King Conan. Grizzled, angry, miserly King Conan. That is a darn good Conan. That's the one I like the most. Well, when I'm talking about Conan. Of the two Hyborian, well, not Hyborian, of the two Howardian kings, I prefer King Conan. But King Conan I brought in. King Conan I brought in issues number 50 through 55. And the reason why I brought these in is because Geof did the art on these. Now, you will see, if you go and you look at I guess the CLZ app would be a great place to do this. Geof did a lot of inking in the regular series of Conan the Barbarian as well. And while I'm discussing this, we'll have the images for those King Conans running on the side. And inking is fantastic, and I'm not going to downplay that at all. His work is clearly there. You can see the touch when he's looking at these things. But actually having him be the artist was what I was focusing on here, which is why I brought these along with me. Really cool thing, and as he signed through these, it was interesting seeing him just sort of look at them and go, oh yeah, that's it. Again, not a lot of conversation happening about that while he was signing because I didn't want to bug him, and we were also working on some drying issues of some other signatures, but that was pretty cool, and I got those signed while I was there. All right, let's get these out of the way, and then we'll get into the magazine size stuff. The next thing I did was I brought in Savage Sword of Conan. Now, Savage Sword of Conan, for those of you who know, is a magazine. For those of you who don't know, it's a magazine. And I brought in some early stuff here. So I brought in Savage Sword of Conan number 105. And I had Geof sign off on this one because what Geof did in this was an actual piece in the back with a variety of artistic images that went with a story that had regular text on it. Kind of a cool take, and that was an early one, and I enjoyed getting him to do that. The next Savage Sword of Conan stuff that I brought in, though, is from the new series. And these images will start to pop up as well. And these are my 2 copies of Savage Sword of Conan number 5 and Savage Sword of Conan number 6. Now, in those, Geof did a King Conan story. Again, coming back to the King Conan motif, as he signed off on these. And a couple of these have already been signed by Jim Zub as well. So that was a kind of really cool thing to get signed. Now, what did Geof have at his table while he was there? Well, I'll tell you what he had. The original artist's pages, his artwork from these very stories. So I had a chance to see those and flip through them while I was there. I can tell you, I'm still seriously considering whether I'm going to pull the trigger on a couple of these. There's one in particular, one page that I know he has, and I looked at it, and at the time I went, that's pretty darn cool. But it was only when somebody pointed out I went, maybe this, that. If you know, you know. That's another great thing about going and seeing artists at these shows. They have their original artwork with them, and if you're willing to make the purchase, I am sure they're willing to make a deal with you. The last thing I got from Geof, and then we'll talk about the next artist and the next purchase we got out of this one, was I have been buying the Chronicles of Conan old Dark Horse trade paperbacks, for a long time. I have a large piece of that run in the library. In fact, in the intro to these videos, if you look closely, you'll see them up over my right shoulder. Problem is, I never remember where I ran out of these issues, where I stopped. And invariably, I see these when I'm out in the wild. Sometimes the numbers that people are looking for on these things are absolutely bonkers insane. And I'm not going to buy books for bonkers insane numbers. But Geof had a couple at the table. Now, he had some King Conan ones, and I've never gone down the rabbit hole of the King Conan, the Chronicles of King Conan, but he did have some Chronicles of Conan. So I got these from him, and he signed them for me as well. And it was great buying them from him because, well, quite frankly put, he's the artist. He's the guy. He was there. This is the stuff that he was inking, which is pretty darn cool. And it does help me fill out more of my Chronicles of Conan run. Now, the issues that I got, Volume 24, put it up on the side there, Volume 26, unfortunately we didn't have 25, and Volume number 27. Now, Volume 27, if I'm correct on this one, just bear with me here. Bear with me here. I'm pretty sure this does have what yeah. Volume 26 and 27, both of those, have some of what I would deem to be the best intro material for Conan the Barbarian for a new reader ever. If you're going to consider picking up Conan for the first time and reading, those are 2 great volumes to get your hands on because of the story that's stories that are included within those. Or you go out and get yourself the original Conan the Barbarian comic issues. Some of the best ones. If you guys are interested in hearing a top 10 list of here's what you want to get into if you're interested in getting into Conan, send me a message and let me know. I have already started putting some thought into that, but that was for another matter. Anyways, that's what came from the meeting with Geof Isherwood, which I think was pretty darn cool in and of itself. Okay, now, let's cut scene here, because I want to talk about this next one in a little more detail. All right, let's get into the big purchase side of things. This is what led to me saying, oh, no. We are not getting a commission done. We've already got this. We're done. Okay, I already knew Mike Rooth was going to be at this convention. Now, for those of you who don't know Mike, he does some phenomenally good stuff. I would strongly encourage you to head out there, check him out on Instagram. He's very active there. He's showing his imagery there. You can see what he does. See how he works, because he will do progression videos as well, showing what he's doing. It's really fantastic stuff, and I would strongly encourage you to check that out. If I can, I'll even put a link to the Instagram down in the description below. YouTube might not let me do that. We'll try. We'll see what happens. Okay, since I knew he was there, and since he's already done a variety of pieces of work for me already as commissions, well, you know what we'll do? Let's share the commissions here. If you look over my left shoulder on many of my intros, you will see these very books. And these are Mike doing his commissions for the Universal Monsters blank variant covers that have been coming out over the last couple years now. These are fantastic stories. I'm not going to lie. If you're into gothic horror and you're into the Universal Monsters thing, these are just... And to be able to have Mike do commissions on these every time that's building into this set for me has just been a great experience. He's a wonderful person to deal with. I strongly encourage you to do so. I am very happy with those. In addition to that, he's also done a piece for me in the Tennessee Fats Traveling Sketchbook, and I'll put an image up over here. And it's of one of my other favorite comic characters of all time, which I'm glad I got him to do that one. Let's just leave that at that. So knowing he was going to be there, I decided, hey, let's make sure that I bring along one of the variant covers that I have that he did from the new Titan run of Conan the Barbarian, because I'm a Conan guy. This just makes sense, right? So I brought that with me. I was happy to be able to bring this one because, quite frankly put, over the last little while, I've purposely chosen to move more away from the comic collecting side of this hobby and more into the comic reading and enjoying side of things. So as a result, multiple covers don't really mean anything to me anymore. I'm generally picking up one at a time. So being able to have this already in the collection, I was happy to say, great, I can get Mike to sign this one and away we go. Let's get into the Savage Sword side of this thing though. Now this is where we're going to leave you guys with a bit of a cliffhanger. As I just mentioned, I'm getting into one copy of a book. I think that's a fairly sound decision. Savage Sword of Conan number 10 just came out. Savage Sword of Conan number 10 just came out with a fairly important introduction into what Titan is now producing, which has to do with characters that aren't based in the Thurian, the modern, or the Hyborian age. I'm not going to spoil the story for you. You'll have to check it out for yourself. They are Howard IP, but this isn't just them doing a comic adaptation of something Howard wrote. Mike did that piece of work in this very issue. So I was very excited about that. I was like, fantastic, I'm going to be able to get a copy, I'll get Mike to sign it. Let's make things a little more exciting. Well, there's an Ottawa Comiccon exclusive that Mike has where he did a cover for it. And I'll show the image up on the side over here. But the flip side to that is a blank variant cover. So, knowing Mike's going to be there, oh, Mike, do you think you could do a King Kull commission on this one for me? I know timing was tight. He pulled it off. And this is what it looks like. This thing is stunning. This is a gritty, brooding King Kull. This is the King Kull that's the by this axe I rule. This is him. Wonderful, wonderful adaptation of that. And I'm really, really happy about that. Now you would say, okay, that was the big purchase. You got to commission it. Well, no. I went one step beyond. And I'm not going to explain why I went one step beyond. If you're interested, you might be able to figure it out. Might. I bought an original art page from Mike's story in this particular issue. And I'm going to put an image of that up over the side over here. Now, I'm going to leave that up for a bit. Y'all can take a look at that one. I'm not going to share this on Instagram. I'm not going to share it as one of the posts that I put up on YouTube. It's just going to be in this video if you're interested. Now, I will tell you this. It's going to end up on the wall like these around where I'm recording. So we'll be able to look at this one for a while if you can't guess as to why this one is the one I purchased. But this, pretty darn cool. Very excited about this. And I once again wanted to say thank you to Mike for this particular page, for this story, for this commissioned cover on this, and really just being a fantastic fellow to work with. This was the big purchase for the con. Quite happy that I made that as my choice. All right, let's wrap this bad boy up and let's, well, quite frankly, get ready for the next one. Okay, here's the deal, guys. This was a fairly quick one, and I know there isn't a lot of content in here that's going to be of interest to a lot of viewers out there. But this is specifically what I, as a Conanophile, did going into Ottawa Comiccon. There is Conan content and Robert E. Howard content wherever you go. You just need to take the time to find it. And if you do, trust me, it will reward you because there are like-minded people out there in our community that do want to talk to you about this stuff. Very happy with my interactions with Geof Isherwood. Also very happy with my interaction with Mike Rooth. If you're interested in talking to either of them, make sure you search them out. They are wonderful people to deal with and wonderful people to talk to and really are passionate about the IP that is the Robert E. Howard content and Conan. Such a fun time. I thoroughly enjoyed Ottawa Comiccon. I probably will make an effort to make sure I attend this one again. I'd say that was worthwhile. Everybody, that's our video for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you in the next one. Alright, it's Easter egg time. It's time to answer the question, Tennessee Fats, what else did you do when you were in Ottawa? Like, you were there for some reason, weren't you? Like, what was going on there? What was the story there? What? Well, I'll tell you. I was there to go to Panera Bread. The Panera Bread there is so much better than the ones by my house. It just makes sense to drive to Ottawa to go there. No, I went to a Red Blacks game, not the Rough Riders, a Red Blacks game. Now, this was really, really cool because I got to tell you, I have been to numerous CFL games. And I'm not saying that those CFL games that I've been to have been terrible or bad experiences. They have all been phenomenally good experiences. I strongly encourage anybody out there that wants to go to a very good, family-friendly event, go to a CFL game. Support the CFL. They need your support, for crying out loud. And they're working so hard to get it. Just give it to them, for crying out loud. How was the experience of the Red Blacks, Tennessee Fats? Oh my God. The game was phenomenal. I saw things in that game I don't think I ever thought I would see live in a game. And I've been to many games. I've seen some phenomenal plays. The stuff in there was mind-blowing. And of course we played through the rain because it wouldn't be the CFL. It didn't rain halfway through the game and we played through it. But still, a mind-blowing experience. To the Red Blacks management team and organization, I want to say this. Keep up the good work because you know what? I think I'm rapidly becoming a lifelong fan. That was a lot of fun. So everybody, if you're in Ottawa, you've got nothing to do, and you're there at the right time of the year, go see a Red Blacks game. Tell them I said hi. Trust me, you will thank me for it later.